The Yamuna is one of the most important rivers in India, both ecologically and spiritually. It is the main tributary of the Ganges River, a center of life and faith for millions. Long before Delhi became a grand capital, filled with the roar of millions of vehicles every second, and before factories poured their waste into its waters, the Yamuna flowed pure and sacred, celebrated by poets and worshippers since ancient times. Just as the Ganges is the lifeblood of northern India, the Yamuna has been the pulse of ancient civilization in the West. Great cities such as Delhi, Mathura, and Agra rose along its banks. Its once clear waters were a source of drinking water, irrigation, and life itself for millions over thousands of years. Throughout history, great empires stood along the Yamuna's shores, from the Mauryan to the Mughal dynasties, from Ashoka to Shah Jahan. In Hindu belief, the Yamuna is the personification of love and purity. It is said that whoever bathes in its waters will be freed from the grip of death and the endless cycle of rebirth. The river's sanctity is recorded in the Padma Purana and the Mahabharata. In one version of the tale, the young god Krishna often played along the Yamuna's banks, leaping into its waters and dancing upon the serpent Kaliya, who had poisoned the river. When Krishna defeated the serpent, the waters of the Yamuna became clear and pure once again. For Hindus, this story symbolizes that human sin can be cleansed by divine love and forgiveness. That is why every morning, thousands of devotees bow their heads, wash their faces, or gently scatter flowers into the river's slow current. They pray, seek forgiveness, and hope for a better life. But tragically, in the real world, the serpent's poison has returned, this time in the form of chemical waste, pesticides, and heavy metals. This irony began when India started transforming into a modern industrial nation. After gaining independence in 1947, Delhi and the cities along the Yamuna expanded rapidly. Urbanization soared, from a small city of about 700,000 people to more than 20 million by 2020. That growth carried the dream of progress, but it also brought an ecological curse. During that era, the government built dams and canals to divert the river's water to farmlands and new cities. One major project was the Hatni Kund Dam in Haryana, along with irrigation canals that cut through the Yamuna's natural flow. Clean water was diverted for agriculture and domestic use, while the main channel was left with toxic waste. As textile mills, tanneries, and chemical industries grew around Delhi and Agra, the Yamuna's clarity began to fade. Untreated waste dumping became routine. Over time, the sacred river turned from blue to gray, and from gray to black. Every day, more than 3,000 million liters of wastewater flow into the Yamuna, most of it from the Delhi region. Of the river's total length, nearly 80% of its pollution comes from the 22 kilometers that pass through Delhi. Thus, the river once regarded as holy has become a colossal drain, slicing through India's capital like an open wound that seems impossible to heal. On a modern map of Delhi, the Yamuna appears as a blue line along the city's eastern edge. But up close, that blue looks more like thick black oil shimmering under the sun. Foam piles up on the surface, white like soap bubbles, but underneath lies a toxic brew of ammonia, nitrates, phosphates, and heavy metals. Residents living near the riverbanks often complain of skin rashes, irritation, and respiratory illness. Yet for many of the poor who have no other choice, the river remains a place to bathe, wash clothes, and even pray. This is the tragic paradox. A river that harms the body is still believed to heal the soul. The Yamuna stretches about 1,376 kilometers, flowing through the major Indian states of Uttarakhand, Haryana, Delhi, and Uttar Pradesh, before merging with the Ganges at Allahabad, now Prayagraj. Geographically, the river forms the backbone of life for over 50 million people, providing water for farming, households, and industries across the Gangetic Plain. Even more alarmingly, the Yamuna's pollution is not just an ecological tragedy, but a direct human threat. More than 57 million people depend on its water for drinking, cooking, and irrigation. The heavily contaminated water enters irrigation systems and is absorbed by crops that become daily food. As a result, the toxins dumped into the river slowly return to human bodies through rice, wheat, and vegetables. In several villages in Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, residents face rising cases of skin diseases, kidney failure, and cancer. Yet in a nation of vast population and deep poverty, such suffering often goes unnoticed. Despite its pollution, Delhi still relies on the Yamuna for about 70% of its drinking water supply. Every day, millions of liters are drawn from the river's upper reaches, filtered, and distributed to homes. But the problem is, the water entering treatment plants is already dangerously polluted. India's water treatment systems, especially in large cities, were never designed to handle pollution levels as extreme as those of the Yamuna. Leaking pipes, filthy canals, and toxic sludge buildup in the riverbed worsen the crisis. As a result, Delhi residents often receive tap water that smells metallic, looks cloudy, and may harbor dangerous bacteria. In some neighborhoods, tap water meant for drinking is used only for washing clothes, while people buy bottled water to drink. The river that once gave life now demands a price merely to stay alive. Yet the greatest tragedy of the Yamuna is not just the pollution, but the loss of spiritual awareness. Rituals are still performed on its banks, but their meaning has faded. Many come to light candles, only to leave behind plastic bags and empty bottles. Photos of gods, incense, and flowers, once sacred offerings, now add to the layers of trash. The Yamuna is still seen as a mother by millions, yet that mother is now discarded and forgotten, remembered only during festivals or disasters. Today, the Yamuna is like an old, exhausted being, gasping for breath amid concrete and steel, choked by pollution and greed. Once it flowed freely from the foothills of Yamunotri in the Himalayas, passing through green valleys and peaceful villages. But by the time it reaches Delhi, its current turns into a thick black pool that seems lifeless. Delhi has grown not only as India's capital, but as a symbol of modern contradiction, grandeur and ruin side by side. On one side stand glass towers, parliament buildings, and luxury apartments with rooftop pools. But only a few kilometers away lies the dying Yamuna, hemmed in by slums and mountains of garbage. The river has become the final destination of 22 major drains carrying the city's waste into its body. Water that should have been clear now carries millions of liters of human sewage, detergent, oil, household refuse, and industrial chemicals. Every drop flowing into it carries the trace of a civilization that has lost its conscience. Yet amid all this decay, life still endures. Thousands of impoverished families build homes from tin and bamboo along the riverbanks. They are known as Yamuna Pusta, people living between poisonous waters and a sky thick with smog. Most came from poor villages in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, seeking a better life in the big city, only to find themselves living in an open-air hell. Children run barefoot on muddy soil laced with heavy metals. They kick makeshift plastic balls near puddles of waste and laugh, unaware of the danger. Their mothers wash clothes in the blackened water and hang them on bamboo lines to dry. At night, from afar, they can see Delhi's city lights glimmer, a world that never turns its gaze towards them. For these people, the Yamuna is no longer just a river. It is home, enemy, and deity all at once. From it they drink, wash, bathe, and pray. Yet the same river that sustains their lives is slowly poisoning their bodies.